Greetings guys, gals, and non-binary pals, and welcome back to another video where I am finally sitting on furniture. It's been a month, but I'm finally out of the corner in front of boxes, finally have a couch, finally have furniture. It's great, I love it. I love having stuff that's not in boxes and that is built. Today's video, we are venturing once again into the wonderful world of conservative comic artists on Twitter because it's... So in the past we looked at Sinfest, which is always a fun time, but today we are going to be looking at a different comic artist, and I have come across this comic multiple times when I have looked for things to make videos about. They're in like all of the subreddits, they're on a bunch of like Instagram accounts that I go through, but I've never actually sat down to make a video about them. But today that is going to change. We are going to be making a video about them, and that is G'85. And they have some stuff. But before we get into the wonderful art that is G'85, I want to take a moment to tell you about today's sponsor, PayPal Honey. Honey is your shopping best friend. You can add Honey to your browser through just 2 clicks, and then when you are doing your shopping on hundreds of different websites, when you get to checkout, Honey will do a little dance if there are some coupons available on the World Wide Web, and you can click apply coupons and Honey will scour the internet searching for any coupons that may be valid for your purchase. And it only takes a few seconds, and if there are any valid, it applies them, and then boom, you have saved money. And it is fantastic. I have been using Honey since I was 15, so for 7 years, and over the course of 7 years, it has saved me hundreds of dollars, hundreds of pounds, and I could not be more grateful. I don't usually check if a shop works with Honey. I kind of am just like shopping, and then Honey will come down and I'm like, oh my god, lifesaver, I love you, thank you Honey, and I'll save money, and it's so good. I love it. I've been buying furniture recently because I moved into a new flat, so I've saved some money on furniture. So if you would like to download Honey, you can click the link in my description. It is so easy to install, it is so quick, and it is completely free. There's literally absolutely no downside to it at all. I cannot recommend it enough. If you do not have Honey, go get Honey. Do it right now. What are you doing? Thank you Honey for sponsoring today's video. Yeah, let's get into the comics, shall we? To sum this guy up, like most conservatives on the internet, he holds the same sort of views that he tries to convey in his art. So very pro-birth, anti-trans, pro-gun, anti-vax, all that good stuff, you know, our favorite, what we love to talk about on this channel. And he comes up with some really creative work, such as this pro-birth comic. A pregnant woman going into, I'm assuming, Planned Parenthood and asking for an abortion, and they say, don't worry, aborting is a safe, easy, and repeatable in-office procedure. Best of all, it's free. And then she's being shown to the room and then being laid down on a podium for some reason. And they say, the birthing body is unafraid and willing, doctor, because, you know, we all say birthing bodies and that's a problem. Burn on us. And then there is a man who is shirtless and wearing just like metal things that I can't remember the word for right now, with a big like stabby thing. I don't know how words work today. I don't know how words work. With a big stabby thing. It's not a knife, it's like a stake, but it's made of metal, I think. Like a spear. And he's going to plunge it into her belly, because that's how abortions happen and abortions work. The birthing body goes into a room where they're laid on a podium, and then a big, scary, muscly, shirtless man comes and stabs them. That's the procedure, obviously. This is what his art is. This is his art style. And a lot of his comics don't make a ton of sense. They're just like super extreme, and I can never actually tell the point he's trying to make. But he seems to think he's doing something. And his followers seem to think he's doing something. So I don't know what his point is here, but it's an interesting take, to say the very least. And that moves into the next one too, that I Let's just have a look. So it's a judge ruling that the Supreme Court hereby orders all women to have babies. And then a group of young women on the ground screaming, no, which then moves into the same woman giving birth a few years later, still screaming, no. And then into her as like older with a kid still screaming, no. And again, I'm not entirely sure of what the purpose of this comic is. Like, yeah, it would be pretty shit if all women were forced to give birth. That's not fun for anyone. Not for women, not for children, not for men, not for non-binary, not for anyone. That's a terrible, terrible time for literally everyone. So yeah, please scream no. Terrible. Also, not all women can have children. Not all women can birth people. What happens to them? Do they get executed? Like, what's the punishment here? My favorite thing about this comic though, and this happens all the time, is that I am like a walking stereotype. I have a video about this on my second channel, which I totally post on all the time if you want to go subscribe there. But I have this top. I wore it in my last video. And the rainbow skirt, like, come on. These people need to stop drawing me. I am such a stereotype. It's always the like short hair with the fringe and it's always dyed and they have tattoos in the same places and the septum piercing and the double nostril. Doc Martens, I am a stereotype. Stereotypes exist for a reason and I contribute to that, so. As I said, he's also obviously anti-vax. So you end up with really good comic strips such as this one where it's a child with leukemia and Ronald McDonald comes in and the nurse says, here he is, boss, the kid who refuses to get his vaccine. And Ronald McDonald picks him up and the child says, but I have leukemia. And so Ronald McDonald throws him and then waves at him. I think this is trying to say that vaccines are killing people and vaccines are bad and how dare we force people to be vaccinated because not everyone can be vaccinated and that's actually really harmful and it's hurting people. And like, yeah, no shit, Sherlock. We're not trying to vaccinate kids with cancer or people with autoimmune diseases. That's literally the entire point. The entire point of everyone being vaccinated is that so you can protect the vulnerable and people who aren't vaccinated and can't be. Have you not been paying attention? Have you not been listening? The whole thing people say with masks and with vaccines is it's like, if not for yourself, do it to protect those who are vulnerable. Me getting COVID is very unlikely to hurt me. However, there are a lot of people, such as children with leukemia, who could be really badly affected by having COVID. So get vaccinated so that they don't get it. Because if you don't get it, you can't spread it to them. So if everyone who can get vaccinated gets vaccinated, it's not going to be a problem. We're not trying to vaccinate leukemic kids. That's the point. You always see it, like not just with COVID, but anti-vax groups in general. They're like, okay, well, if your vaccine works so well, why do you care if my kid's vaccinated? Your kid's not going to get it. Yeah, but it's not just about my kid. I'm not selfish. Like my kid has it. Yeah, so they're not going to get sick. But that kid who has leukemia can't get it, so they can get sick. So you get the vaccine so that they don't get it. This isn't just about me and my kid. I don't have a kid. This is hypothetical. It's about just everyone. So, like, don't be selfish. Get vaccinated. Back into the obviously very necessary for this genre of people anti-trans meme in the, like, all trans people, trans rights activists, queer people, etc. We're all groomers, obviously, because I don't know where that idea came from, but this is their take on it. At school, they have a magic closet, and the teacher is saying to the class, in this magic closet, you can enter as your secret identity and emerge as your real self, like Superman. And don't worry, it will be our secret. Nobody will tell your parents. So who wants to try this? He says as he holds up like a short, like flower summer dress. And then is like peeking on a child getting changed into it. And a nice little touch of the head of like a fursuit in the corner there, which is hilarious. Brilliant little touches there. I don't know why people keep bringing furries into this conversation. It's so silly. It's so irrelevant. I have so many questions about who came up with this idea and why they decided to start forcing it all of a sudden. It's so interesting because trans people have existed for forever. They've been around for forever. I've gone to school with trans people my entire life. I went to primary school with a trans girl. That was in like 2008. It's not new. It's not abnormal. I've always known trans people. You've always known trans people. Whether they're out or not, they've always been there, always been using our bathrooms. It's literally doesn't matter. They're all just people. We're all just people. You just decided to care all of a sudden for some fucking reason. But I promise you, no one is peeping on kids changing at school, except for like creeps who are gonna do it regardless of children's gender or queerness. They're just terrible, disgusting people who are gonna do that regardless of anything. And I don't understand why you see a problem with kids being able to express themselves at school without telling their parents that. Like, what's the big deal? I really don't understand the issue. There are some things that parents don't need to be informed about. It's like when you have a therapist. Your therapist is not allowed to tell your parents what you tell them unless you or someone else are in danger. Unless you're going to hurt yourself or someone else, they cannot tell your parents anything. And I don't see you complaining about that. Please don't take this opportunity to complain about that. It's like none of parents' business, actually, because the thing is here, and this might come as a shock to you, but people, such as yourselves, are not very accepting of their children sometimes, and home is not always a safe environment for children to be. So sometimes a child doesn't feel safe at home, and they want to feel safe somewhere. So school is like, hey, you can be safe here. I know that you can't do this thing that makes you happy at home, so we'll let you do it here. And we won't tell your parents, because if we tell your parents, that makes you unsafe at home. It is your job as a caretaker to keep a child safe. And some parents don't do that. Some parents don't keep their children safe, either physically or mentally. And if a school, who is their caregiver during the day, can do something to help them during the day when they are in charge of them, then they should do that. If a kid wears a dress at school because it makes them happy, but they can't do it at home because they will face punishment for it, let them do it at school. How is that hurting anyone? And why does the parent need to know about that? Keep children safe, keep children happy. Let them do what they want as long as they aren't hurting anybody, and parents don't need to know about it. Because ultimately, if you're telling parents this, you are hurting the child by putting them at risk at home. Or if you are telling the children, whatever you do here, we have to report back to your parents, the child is not going to express themselves at school or at home. Then they feel trapped within themselves. They feel unhappy all the time. That can lead to a lot of mental health problems. Trans youth have one of the highest suicide rates and suicide attempt rates out of everyone. And this is just a way of helping to prevent that and make it easier and be better on trans kids' mental health. So if you really, really care about children, let them express themselves and exist without telling their parents things that aren't important. Okay? This next one is actually, I think, the first comic of theirs that I ever saw a couple months back. It is a kid standing up and pledging allegiance. So he says, "I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America." And the teacher's standing in the front of the classroom wearing a Love is Love t-shirt with pride flags behind them, yells at him, "Vincent, I don't allow hate speech in this classroom. Sit down or it's another detention." And then this other girl stands up and joins in with the pledge with "One nation under God, indivisible, and to the republic for which it stands." And then the teacher is like screaming while they continue, "With liberty and justice for all." And I find this so amusing because they seem so pressed and angry and upset about like people not pledging allegiance to the flag. They're like, this is the worst thing to happen to this country. It's disgusting. All these liberals and leftists want us to stop pledging allegiance to the flag. They're calling it hate speech now. It's disgusting. How dare they take away our right to pledge allegiance to the flag? And it's so funny because, bro, you realize that's not a normal thing, right? You know no one else fucking does this. Do you know how ridiculous it is? Do you know that the rest of the world thinks you're fucking insane? Like, what are you doing? It's so brainwashy. You like to say that, like, the left and the liberals are brainwashing your kids. You literally, from the age of, like, 5 years old, stand up and say you'll die for your country. That's fucked up. That's fucked up. I don't even remember the words to my national anthem. I could try. Eyowa atua ongna iwimatoa Aotearoa. And in English, God of nations at thy feet in the Pacific's triple star. God defend New Zealand. See, I did it. Perfect, beautiful, brilliant. Both languages. That says enough, I think. Pledging allegiance to the flag. No, it's so funny though, because like, the only countries I can think of that do that are like the US and North Korea and other like communist states and dictatorships. They're the only places I can think that do it. And it's really funny to me because those are the places the US claim to hate the most, and they're like, we're the least like them. They're the opposite of us. You look in a mirror. You are talking to yourself. And it's so funny to me that you think that this is like a normal good thing and that it's bad that people are stopping doing it. Why do you do it? Why do you want to tell your kids to die for your country? Why do you love your country so much? I don't get it. You need to be able to criticize your country. You need to be able to look at it from an outside perspective, and you need to be able to be like, you know what, this is fucked up. How do you not realize the military propaganda and shit that happens from so young? And how are you like pro that? I don't get Americans. I don't get it. I really, really don't get it. This next one is about the UK heatwave. I don't know if you remember a few months back in July, there was like a massive heatwave in Europe and in the UK where it got up to like 40 degrees Celsius, which is so hot. It does not ever get that hot here, but it was a big thing. People were talking about it, people were dying, and a lot of like Americans, especially from like the hotter states, were like laughing about it and saying that we were weak, etc. And so he made this comic. It's hot over here, mate. Why don't you buy an air conditioner, king? And then he's like, no, we need to change the weather. Like, my guy, I get that you've never ever left the US ever and have no idea about anywhere else in the world, but let me break it down for you real quick. Different places are built for different climates. Places like Florida are built to withstand hot weather. The buildings are built to deflect heat. There is air conditioners installed into the buildings already. You have like plans in place. Your bodies are used to the heat. Here, the buildings are built to retain heat. They are built to keep warm. And we are not used to having that temperature, so our bodies aren't used to it either. The roads are not built to withstand that heat. Nothing here is built to survive that. And it's not that easy to just install air conditioning because one, air conditioning is fucking expensive. Two, when there's a heat wave, it sells out really fast. Fans sell out in the whole country within a day. And like people were dying, bro. You can't just be here being like, get over it. It's not that bad. It's like this every day here. Like good for you, man. You can survive 40-degree heat. People are dying, so maybe shut up. I was in both the US and the UK during this period of time. So when I was in LA, it was 35 degrees. And when I came back to the UK, it was also 35 degrees. Let me tell you, in the US, I was able to be outside. I was able to be inside with the air conditioner off. I slept in an unair conditioned room and it was totally fine. I can't sleep with air conditioners on. Like I get really sick, so it doesn't even work for me. But I was totally fine sleeping in the US in 35 degrees with no aircon under a duvet. In the UK, couldn't sleep, could barely breathe. It was so hot and awful and just thick air. It's a really different type of heat. and you can't really comment on it until you've been here. It's like when I go back to New Zealand, right? The hottest it gets in New Zealand is like 26 degrees Celsius, which doesn't sound very warm, but I think a lot of people don't know and don't realize there is a hole in the ozone layer above New Zealand and Australia. There is no atmosphere there protecting us from the sun. The sun is directly on your skin, and it's hot. It is so hot. Like, sure, in the shade, it's not that bad. Like, the air itself isn't that hot. If you are in the sunlight, in New Zealand sun, you fry. Unless you have been there, it is indescribable to say what it feels like. Like, I grew up there, and so I find it really shocking that this is not a sensation I get elsewhere. But when you're in the sun in New Zealand, you can feel your skin cooking. You can, like, actually feel your skin cooking. You'll be in the sun for 5 minutes, and you're like, I'm getting a burn. And the UV index in summer can get up to 12, where just for comparison, the highest it's measured to in the UK is 10, and in New Zealand it gets up to 12, which basically means if you don't wear sunscreen in the sun, you will get sunburnt in 15 minutes. 15 minutes you get burnt. You spend the entirety of summer with the sunburnt nose. That's just the way it goes. I was outside when I was visiting in April, which is autumn, by the way. I was outside for 2 hours and got this sunburn. And I had to take ibuprofen 4 times a day for 5 days because of how painful this was. Couldn't move, couldn't sleep. I woke up in the middle of the night in searing pain because I was outside for 2 hours in autumn. Fell asleep under the sun one time and went purple. You get blisters from the sun just for being outside for a couple of hours. Don't comment about other countries' weather because you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. That was my rant. I'm sorry. I just had to get it out because people always enter my DMs when I talk about it being hot in New Zealand. They're like, lol, that's not even hot. That's how hot it is in winter for me. Shut up. Shut up. Great, thank you. We're almost done. I've been here for a long time. I've gotten distracted. What's new? He is obviously also, as I said, pro-gun, because of course he is. Of course he is. And so we made this comic, which is someone screaming, "No one needs an AR-15." And then I believe, is it implied that it's the same woman? I don't know. Being like taken by this man who says, "This one looks fertile, I'll choose you." And then she's saying, "I wish I had an AR-15. Again, I don't know what point this guy thinks he's making with these comics, because he's not made a single valid argument or a valid point this whole time. Why would you need an assault rifle? Why? Why is an assault rifle necessary in this situation? Like, okay, you can maybe make a pro-gun statement for like self-defense purposes. Maybe have a handgun. I don't personally agree with it. I don't agree with guns at all, but I would understand the argument if they're like, see, a shotgun would be really helpful because these men are trying to assault and potentially murder her and she can't get away. I get it. A handgun, I'll understand the argument. Don't agree, but I get it. An assault rifle? Why is that necessary in this situation? Why is that ever necessary? I don't understand how your brain is like, see, this poor vulnerable woman needs an assault rifle so she can murder 100 men all at once right now. She doesn't need to do that. No one needs to do that, ever. That's not necessary, ever. And also, hear me out here, right? Assault rifles are currently legal. Right? You can currently have those. How often do you hear about situations like this happening where an assault rifle has gotten them out of the situation? Because I've never heard of that happening. It could, that's a possibility right now. Those things, they are legal. But I've not heard of a situation in which it's been helpful like this. So, again, what point are you making? There's no point. They're not helpful now. They'll never be helpful. Get rid of them. On that exact same sort of note of being pro-gun, we have this brilliant comic of a man being robbed. So he comes down the stairs to a robber and says, "Excuse me, I hate to startle you, but it seems you've broken into this house." And the burglar says, "This is awkward. I thought nobody was home." And the man says, "Totally understandable. My family and I aren't at risk for violence, are we?" And the robber says, "Heavens no, I'm just stealing." And so he replies, "Fair enough. Human life is more valuable than material possessions. Total happiness in the world increased." How is your brain so, like, fucked up to the point where you're like, this is bad? You know what a better situation would have been? If he could have killed the robber. That would have been so much better. I would give everything I own to someone before I murder someone. And I don't know how in your head you can think differently to that. How is your response to seeing someone stealing something? You know what? Actually, my shit is worth more than your life. Fuck you. I'm gonna kill you. What kind of fucked up? I do that. Especially because he also didn't have a weapon. That's the thing. No one had a weapon there. No one had a gun. No one got hurt. You lost some shit. I doubt he's stealing, like, photo albums or anything super, super important. Your items are 1,000 bajillion% less important than that person's life. And if you do kill someone for stealing your stuff, if they were not threatening to hurt you, that's not self-defense. That is murder. And you should go to jail for that. Don't kill people. I don't care what they do. Don't kill people. Bro, how are there people like this? I can't even begin to get into their heads. I can't even for a moment even, like, think about what their brains look like, and I don't really want to. And we're gonna end with one final one that I think just really sums up his entire character. It really plays into the whole thing and just kind of concludes that he's just a terrible person and you're never gonna change his mind. There's no talking to him. He's just a trash person. And that's this comic of him. This is a drawing of him, by the way. This is himself going into a coffee shop and saying, can't tell what this barista's pronouns are. Better play it safe. And then grabbing her boobs and saying, "Could I get a double cappuccino, sugar tits?" And then getting his coffee and drinking it. His solution to not knowing people's pronouns is to sexually assault them. And he thinks that's really funny because a couple people called him out and he just laughed and made another comic that was pretty much the exact same thing. So yeah, I think that's just a really the tell on his character and how he's just a terrible person. And I'm not making this video in order to change his mind because I know he won't. You know, a lot of people ask me why I make these videos. They're like, they're not going to listen to you. And so I know. I know they're not going to listen to me. I know there's no changing these people's mind, especially since I am a woman, especially because I am a queer woman. I know these men aren't going to listen to a single word I say. All they would ever do is talk over me and call me stupid. And that's, I don't care. There's nothing I can do about it. But what I do hope to do is hope that the people who don't entirely understand the content that they're consuming, or they're sitting on the fence, or just want to talk about it and get angry with me, because I like doing that too. That's who this is for. Maybe it can help educate some people a little bit further on things they're already interested in. Maybe it can help people change their perspective a little bit. Maybe it's just fun to get angry sometimes. I know that I enjoy getting angry sometimes. And that's what I'm here for. Just because people do ask sometimes, and I just wanted to let you know that I know they're not going to listen to me. And I know there's no point in trying to change their minds. I am aware. This has been my video. The Twitter comics are so fun. Let me know what you want to see from me next. A massive thank you to my Sprout and Above patrons whose names are up on the screen right now. And a huge thank you to my Kiwi Cat patrons. Wolf, Toulouse, Bobby, Sparrow, Josh, Mandy, Robbie, Christy, Ikazel, the Alienated Librarian, Non-Euclid System, Skylar Dowd, Ishtar Hope, and Eldo. I love and appreciate you all so much. Thank you so much for joining. If you would like to become a patron, you can go to patreon.com/savvycat. You get my videos a day early, as well as our podcasts a week early for as little as £1 a month. And then from there upwards, you get extra stuff such as like a live stream on the first Saturday of every month, a few extra bonus videos, there's some travel vlogs, outtakes, etc. So if you want to join, your support means the world. I appreciate it hugely. Speaking of the podcast, go check that out. It is on Spotify and on YouTube, Savvy Cat Productions. Subscribe to my second channel, Kiwi with a Q. I'll post there sometime, maybe, I don't know, when I have time. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram, The Queer Kiwi, and Twitter, That Queer Kiwi. Listen to my music on Spotify since I'm here and promoting myself. I'll release new music, maybe, one day. I want to. So if you know any music producers, hit me up because I don't want to do that myself. I hope that you enjoy the rest of your day. Stay safe. Keep fighting. I love you. Mwah.
When you close your eyes